The sting was the first thing that registered. It was a sharp, radiating heat that bloomed across the skin, shattering the carefully constructed ego of a 20-year-old woman who thought she had outgrown such consequences. Sophia stood in the center of the room, the smell of chemical cleaner heavy in the air, her hands raw from scrubbing. But it wasn't her hands that held the memory of the afternoon. It was the seat of her jeans, still burning, still throbbing with a rhythmic reminder of authority. She looked at the wall, then at her mother, Maria, who sat calmly on the edge of the bed, the wooden implement resting across her lap like a judge's gavel. In that moment, the lines between adulthood and childhood blurred, leaving only the raw reality of action and reaction. Sophia realized, perhaps too late, that age implies wisdom, but it does not grant immunity. It began hours earlier, born from a silence that was too heavy to bear. Saturday afternoons in late autumn have a specific weight to them. The light that filtered through the half-closed curtains of Sophia's bedroom was gold and dusty, illuminating the microscopic particles floating in the stagnant air. Sophia was 20 years old. It is an age of transition, a limbo state between the sheltered structure of adolescence and the crushing responsibilities of true independence. She was a university student capable of voting, driving, and making life-altering decisions. Yet, on this particular Saturday, she felt remarkably small. The house was empty of noise. Her father was working a double shift at the plant, a fact that usually meant a relaxed atmosphere. Her younger brother, a source of constant chaotic energy, was away at a football training camp. That left only Sophia and her mother, Maria. Maria was downstairs. A faint, rhythmic thrum of the washing machine and the occasional clatter of ceramic on granite were the only indicators of her presence. Maria was a woman of order. She believed that a chaotic environment bred a chaotic mind. Her home was a sanctuary of cleanliness and structure, a stark contrast to the turbulent thoughts currently swirling in her daughter's head. Sophia lay sprawled across her bed, her body tracing the diagonal of the mattress. She wore a pair of faded denim shorts and a loose, oversized gray t-shirt that hung off her shoulder. Her phone, usually a portal to infinite distraction, felt like a dead weight in her hand. She scrolled. Thumb up, thumb up, thumb up. The motion was muscle memory, completely divorced from cognitive engagement. Social media was a graveyard of recycled memes and photos of friends, doing things that looked far more interesting than lying in a sunbeam. She tossed the phone aside. It landed with a soft thud on the carpet. She rolled onto her stomach, letting out a groan that vibrated in her throat. Boredom is a dangerous state for a creative mind. It is a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. Sophia's eyes drifted around the room. It was a typical young adult's room, a desk cluttered with textbooks on sociology and economics, a laptop covered in stickers, a wardrobe bursting with clothes. But in the corner, stacked haphazardly, were her old sketchbooks. She hadn't touched them in months. University life, with its demands for essays and readings, had squeezed the artistic impulse out of her. But looking at them now, seeing the frayed edges of the paper, she felt a phantom itch in her fingers. She sat up, swinging her legs over the side of the bed. Her bare feet touched the cool carpet. She walked over to the stack and ran a finger down the spine of the top book. Dust. She didn't open it. Instead, her gaze drifted past the books to the wall behind them. It was a vast expanse of cream-colored paint. Eggshell, her mother called it. To Sophia, it looked like a blank canvas. It looked like a challenge. It was a strange, impulsive thought. A thought that belonged to a toddler, not a 20-year-old woman. It's so plain, she thought. It needs life. She turned to her bedside drawer. She knew exactly what was in there. She had bought it 2 weeks ago for a poster presentation in her microeconomics class, a thick, black, industrial-grade permanent marker. the kind that smells of chemicals and permanence. She opened the drawer. The marker rolled to the front as if offering itself. Sophia picked it up. It felt heavy, substantial. She uncapped it. The scent hit her instantly sharp, toxic, and intoxicating. It was the smell of rebellion. Just a little doodle, she told herself. Down by the baseboard. No one will even see it. She crouched down near the floor, her knees popping slightly. She touched the felt tip to the wall. The ink bled instantly into the paint, dark and irrevocable. She drew a small, simple face. 2 dots for eyes, a curved line for a smile. It was cute. It was harmless dot, but the dopamine hit was immediate. The contrast of the stark black ink against the pristine cream paint was visually satisfying in a primal way. One face became 2. She added a little body, then a cat, then a speech bubble. Sophia stood up, the marker feeling like an extension of her hand. She began to draw a vine, twisting and curling its way up the wall. She added leaves, large tropical flowers, and intricate geometric patterns. She wasn't thinking about the lease terms of the house. She wasn't thinking about the chemical composition of the paint or the difficulty of solvent removal. She wasn't thinking about her mother downstairs. She was in the flow state. Minutes turned into an hour. The silence of the house was no longer oppressive. It was a blank check for her creativity. She moved across the wall, her arms sweeping in broad arcs. She drew caricatures of her professors. She wrote lyrics from songs she loved in stylized, graffiti-esque fonts. The wall, once boring and eggshell, was now a chaotic mural of her inner monologue. She stepped back, capping the marker with a satisfying click. She was breathless, her cheeks flushed with the exertion of creation. She looked at her work. It covered nearly 20 square feet of wall space. It was massive. It was bold. Masterpiece, she whispered to herself, a smirk playing on her lips. She tossed the marker onto her desk. The adrenaline was fading, replaced by a sudden need for caffeine. She smoothed her t-shirt, checked her hair in the mirror, and opened her bedroom door. The house was still quiet. She padded down the stairs, the plush carpet silencing her footsteps. She walked into the living room. Maria was there. She was standing by the coffee table, folding a basket of warm laundry. Maria was 50, a woman who carried herself with an effortless elegance even when doing chores. She wore tailored black slacks and a crisp white blouse, her hair pulled back in a severe but stylish bun. She looked up as Sophia entered. "Did you have a nap?" Maria asked, her voice pleasant. She snapped a towel, folded it in thirds, and placed it on a stack. "No," Sophia said, walking past her toward the kitchen. "Just hanging out, studying a bit." The lie slipped out easily. It wasn't malicious. It was protective. "That's good," Maria said. "I'm making a roast for dinner. Dad will be hungry when he gets back." "Sounds good," Sophia called from the kitchen. She poured herself a cup of coffee from the pot that was still warm. She took a sip, leaning against the counter. She felt a strange vibration of anxiety in her stomach. The reality of what she had done upstairs was starting to settle in. The wall, the permanent marker dot, it's fine, she reasoned. I'm an adult. It's my room. If she hates it, I'll just paint over it eventually. She walked back into the living room, coffee cup in hand. I'm going to go back up, she said. Maria paused. She held a pair of Sophia's socks in her hand. She looked at her daughter, really looked at her. Mothers have a sixth sense, a radar for guilt that transcends logic. "Sophia," Maria said. Her tone had shifted. It wasn't angry, but it was alert. "What is that smell?" Sophia froze. "Smell? It's just coffee." Maria sniffed the air delicately. "No, it smells like ... solvents, like chemicals." Sophia's heart hammered against her ribs. The marker. The fumes must have clung to her clothes, Or maybe draft it down the hallway. I don't smell anything, Sophia said, taking a step toward the stairs. Maria set the socks down. I'm coming up. I have your laundry to put away anyway. No, Sophia blurted out. It was too loud, too defensive. Maria's eyebrows rose. The pleasant demeanor evaporated, replaced by the steeliness of the matriarch. She picked up the laundry basket. Excuse me? I mean, I'll take it. Sophia reached for the basket. Maria pulled it back. Sophia, move. Maria walked past her daughter and ascended the stairs. Sophia followed, her coffee forgotten on the side table. She felt like she was walking to the gallows. Maria walked down the hallway and pushed open the door to Sophia's bedroom. She stepped inside. The silence that followed was absolute. It was heavy, suffocating, and terrifying. Sophia stood in the doorway. She watched her mother's back. Maria stood perfectly still, the laundry basket gripped in her hands. She was staring at the wall. The afternoon sun illuminated every stroke of the black ink. The caricatures seemed to mock the silence. The looping vines looked like cracks in the foundation of their home. Maria slowly lowered the laundry basket to the floor. She didn't drop it. She placed it down with terrifying precision. She turned around. Her face was unreadable, which was worse than anger. Her eyes were cool, calculating. Explain, Maria said. One word, a command. Sophia let out a nervous, breathy laugh. It's art? I was just bored and I felt creative and ... Art, Maria repeated flatly. She gestured to the wall. With permanent marker, on the painted drywall. I can paint over it, Sophia said quickly, her voice pitching higher. It's just a drawing, Mom. I'm expressing myself. You're 20 years old, Maria said, her voice dropping an octave. You are a university student. You are an adult woman. And you have scribbled on the walls like a toddler left unattended in a nursery. It's not scribbles. Sophia protested, her adult pride flaring up. It's actually pretty cool if you look at it. Maria took 2 steps forward. The air in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Do not speak to me about the artistic merit of vandalism, Sophia. This is careless. It is destructive. And it is incredibly immature. It's my room. Sophia snapped. It is my house, Maria countered, her voice cutting like a whip. You live here rent-free. We pay for your food, your tuition, your car insurance. And this is how you respect our property? By treating it like a sketchbook? Sophia crossed her arms. You're overreacting. I said I'll fix it. You certainly will, Maria said. But that is not the point. The point is the mindset. Last week you left the oven on for 4 hours because you were distracted. The week before, you forgot to lock the front door overnight. And now this. Maria sighed, closing her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, the disappointment was gone, replaced by resolve. You are regressing, Sophia. You are acting like a child. And I cannot allow you to continue this slide into irresponsibility. Maria turned and walked to the closet in the hallway. Sophia watched her, confused. What are you doing? Maria returned a moment later. In her hand, she held an object that Sophia hadn't seen in 5 years. It was the paddle. It was a simple object, really. Crafted from solid oak, about 14 inches long, with a smooth, sanded handle and a broad, flat blade. It was stained a deep cherrywood color. It had been the ultimate enforcer of rules during Sophia's teenage years. Sophia had assumed it was lost or thrown away, a relic of a past era. Seeing it now, in her mother's hand, sent a jolt of pure, visceral shock through her system. Mom, Sophia said, her voice trembling. What is that? You know exactly what this is, Maria said calmly. She slapped the flat of the blade against her open palm. The sound was a sharp crack that echoed in the quiet room. No, Sophia shook her head, backing up until her legs hit the edge of her bed. No way, I'm 20. You can't do that. You may be 20 by the calendar, Maria said, advancing slowly. But your actions today were those of a 6-year-old. And if you act like a child, Sophia, you will be treated like one. This is insane, Sophia argued, panic rising in her throat. I'm an adult. This is assault. Maria stopped. She looked at her daughter with a mix of pity and stern authority. This is discipline, Sophia. This is a mother correcting a daughter who has lost her way. You have a choice. You can pack your bags right now and leave. You can find your own apartment, pay your own bills, buy your own walls to draw on. You can go out into the world and be a real adult. Maria gestured to the door. Go ahead. Sophia froze. The reality of her situation crashed down on her. She had $300 in her bank account. She had no job, only her studies. She had nowhere to go. She was dependent. Or, Maria continued, her voice softening just a fraction, you can accept the consequences of your actions within this household. You can accept that you made a mistake, and you can take your punishment like the adult you claim to be. Which is it? Sophia looked at the door. Then she looked at the paddle in her mother's hand. The choice was an illusion, and they both knew it. Sophia's shoulders slumped. The fight drained out of her. Mom, please, just ground me. Take my phone. Make me clean the whole house. Those are passive punishments, Maria said. You need something active. You need a sharp reminder to wake you up. You need to remember that actions have physical, tangible consequences. Maria walked over to the bed and sat down on the edge. The mattress dipped under her weight. She arranged her skirt, sat up straight, and rested the paddle across her thighs. Come here, Sophia. The command was soft, but it pulled at Sophia like gravity. She hesitated. Her heart was pounding so hard she could feel it in her fingertips. The humiliation was already burning her face. I can't believe you're doing this, Sophia whispered. I am doing this because I love you, Maria replied. And because I will not raise a vandal. Now, over here. Sophia took one step, then another. Her legs felt heavy, like she was walking through water. She reached the side of the bed. She stood next to her mother, looking down at the floor. Prepare yourself, Maria said. Sophia knew the drill. The ritual was etched into her memory. She reached for the hem of her gray t-shirt. Her hands shook. She pulled the fabric up, bunching it in her hands, exposing the denim shorts. Whatever you think is going to happen, Sophia muttered, it's not going to work. It's just going to make me mad. We'll see, Maria said. Bend over. Sophia let out a frustrated, ragged sigh. She turned and bent over her mother's lap. The position was compromising, vulnerable. Her torso lay across the bedspread, her legs standing on the floor. Her denim-clad bottom was positioned directly upward, offering a perfect target. Maria placed a hand on the small of Sophia's back. Her hand was warm, heavy, and grounding. She could feel the tension in her daughter's muscles. Relax, Maria instructed. I can't relax, Sophia gritted out into the duvet. You need to stay still, Maria warned. If you squirm, it will take longer. I am going to give you 20 sweats. One for every year of your life that you seem to have forgotten today. 20. The number hung in the air. Ready? Maria asked. She didn't wait for an answer. She raised the oak paddle, crack, The first impact was shocking. It landed squarely on the highest part of the denim. The sound was loud, a flat report that filled the room. Sophia gasped, her body jerking involuntarily. The denim offered some protection, but the wood was dense, and Maria's arm was strong. 1, Maria counted calmly, crack. The second strike landed lower, right on the sit spots. The sting began to register now. It wasn't just the thud. It was a bite, asterisk. Oh, Mom. Sophia yelped. Quiet, Maria said. Take it. Crack. 3. Sophia dug her fingers into the bedspread. The shame she had felt earlier was evaporating, replaced by the immediate, overwhelming sensory input of the spanking. It demanded her total attention. Crack. 4. Crack. 5. You are not a child, Maria lectured, her voice maintaining a steady rhythm with the paddle. So stop acting like one. Crack. 6. Drawing on walls is destruction of property. Crack. 7. Sophia kicked her feet, her toes curling in the carpet. The heat was building rapidly. It felt like she was sitting on a radiator. The denim was starting to feel tight against her skin. Mom, it hurts. Sophia cried out, her voice cracking. It's supposed to hurt, Maria said, not pausing. If it didn't hurt, you wouldn't remember it. Crack. 8. Crack. 9. Crack. 10. Maria paused. She rested the cool wood against the hot denim for a moment. Sophia took in jagged breaths, her face buried in the blankets. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes. Not from the physical pain alone, but from the overwhelming cocktail of emotions: humiliation, regression, and a strange, paradoxical sense of relief. She was being held accountable. The world had rules again. Halfway, Maria said softly, You're doing well. Stay down, Sophia nodded into the mattress. She didn't trust herself to speak. Maria raised the paddle again. The second half was always harder. The element of surprise was gone, replaced by the dread of anticipation. Crack. 11. This one was harder. Maria was ensuring the lesson penetrated. Crack. 12. Crack. 13. Sophia let out a low moan. The fire across her seat was intense. It felt like a severe sunburn being slapped. Wide out. Crack. Pull. Crack. Crack. Do it. Crack. Maria punctuated the question with 3 rapid, stinging strikes. 14, 15, 16. I don't know. Sophia sobbed. I was bored. I'm sorry. Boredom is not an excuse for bad behavior. Maria said sternly. Crack. 17. You will respect this house. Crack. 18. You will respect me. Crack. 19. Sophia braced herself for the final one. Her body was tense, every nerve ending on fire. Maria waited. She let the silence stretch, letting Sophia stew in the anticipation. Then she brought the paddle down with a final, definitive swing. Crack. 20. Sophia cried out, a sharp sound of release. She collapsed against the bed, her chest heaving. Maria set the paddle down on the bedside table. She kept her hand on Sophia's back, rubbing it in slow, soothing circles. The transition from punisher to comforter was instant. It's over, Maria whispered. Breathe, Sophia, breathe. Sophia lay there for a long minute, letting the world stop spinning. The burning sensation was intense, a pulsing reminder that enveloped her entire lower half. She felt raw, stripped of her pretenses. Slowly, she pushed herself up. Her face was blotchy, her hair messy. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. She stood up, wincing as her jeans shifted against her tender skin. She couldn't meet her mother's eyes. Maria stood up as well. She reached out and cupped Sophia's chin, forcing her to look up. Are we clear? Maria asked. Her eyes were kind but searching. Yes, Sophia whispered. We're clear. Good, Maria said. She released her. Now, the lesson isn't finished. Maria walked to the door and pointed to the hallway. In the utility closet, you will find a bucket, a sponge, and the industrial solvent. You are going to scrub this wall until every trace of that marker is gone. If the paint comes off, you will be going to the hardware store tomorrow to buy a matching quart with your own money, and you will repaint it, Sophia nodded. She didn't argue. The fight was gone. Get to it, Maria said. Sophia went to the closet. She filled the bucket. She returned to the room. Her mother had left, closing the door behind her to give Sophia privacy for her penance. Sophia knelt on the floor. The movement stretched the skin on her backside, sending a fresh wave of fire through her nerves. She hissed through her teeth but settled onto her knees. She dipped the sponge into the chemical water and began to scrub, the first face she had. Drawn the happy little smiley face smudged into a gray blur. She scrubbed it harder. Her arm ached. The fumes made her eyes water. She scrubbed for an hour. Then two. The sun moved across the room and eventually dipped below the horizon, leaving the room in twilight. Sophia turned on the desk lamp and kept scrubbing Dot by the time she finished. The wall was clean. It was scuffed, the paint slightly thinner in places, but the ink was gone. The masterpiece had been erased, leaving only the eggshell reality behind. Sophia sat back on her heels, exhausted. She felt drained, hollowed out, but also strangely light. The guilt was gone. She had paid the price. The transaction was complete. She stood up, groaning as her sore muscles protested. She carried the bucket downstairs. Maria was in the kitchen, stirring a pot of soup. The smell of rosemary and garlic filled the air, replacing the scent of chemicals. Sophia put the cleaning supplies away and walked to the island. She stood there, leaning her hip against the counter, careful not to put too much pressure on her backside. Maria looked up. She poured a glass of iced tea and slid it across the counter to Sophia. Finished? Maria asked. Yeah, Sophia said, taking the glass. It's gone. I might need to touch up the paint, though. We can look at it tomorrow, Maria said softly. They stood in silence for a moment. It wasn't the heavy silence of the afternoon. It was a peaceful, resolved silence. Mom? Sophia asked, looking into her tea. Yes? Thanks, Sophia murmured. It was barely audible. Maria didn't smile, but her eyes softened. Don't thank me, Sophia. Just grow up. I'm trying, Sophia said. A small, genuine smile tugged at her lips. But maybe hide the markers next time? Maria chuckled, a low, warm sound. I think you'll find you've lost your taste for wall art for quite a while. Sophia shifted her weight, feeling the lingering throb of the wooden paddles lessen. She winced, then laughed. Yeah, I think you're right. She took a sip of tea, the cold liquid soothing her throat. She was sore. She was humbled. She was 20 years old. And for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was exactly where she needed to be.